Hello and welcome to Select Home Care Employee Orientation. Feel free to ask questions if you do not understand something at the end of this session. Let's get started. Select Home Care employees are paid bi-weekly. We offer all our employees a referral bonus of $300 when referring other caregivers to our company. The caregivers must simply work 80 hours before being able to claim that bonus. There are no caps on how many people you can refer. Select Home Care offers 40 hours of sick pay annually. Please make sure to let us know when you want to use your sick pay. Employees receive overtime when they work more than 9 hours in a day or more than 40 hours a week. Select Home Care does not guarantee hours. Compensation payment is determined by the following factors: hours worked, level of care provided, location, travel time, and client's financial capacity to afford care. Schedule/hours. Several factors can influence consistency in caregiving, such as fluctuations in the client's health, financial limitations, mismatches in personality between the caregiver and the client, and the caregiver's physical constraints or insufficient experience in executing care duties. Furthermore, the caregiver might struggle to deliver the required standard of care. The company workweek begins at 12 a.m. Monday and ends at 11:59 p.m. on Sunday. At midnight, it becomes a new day. That's why if you are working an overnight shift 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., when you hit midnight, the clock starts over. Because of this, you do not receive overtime unless you are working consecutive days. Pay period is every other Wednesday through the following Tuesday. Workday begins at 12 a.m. and ends at 11:59 p.m. For example, this employee on the 9th will work until 8 a.m. that morning, giving them 8 hours of straight time. Then go back at 8 p.m. for the start of their next overnight shift. As of 9 p.m., they will have worked 9 hours total that day. Therefore, from 9 p.m. to 11:59 p.m., it will all be overtime. Select Home Care employees are paid bi-weekly. Schedule/hours continued. You should review your paycheck stub to confirm that your payment is correct. If you notice any discrepancies, please inform us right away. Do not delay for months before reaching out. If you need to adjust your withholding or other deductions, W-4 forms are available for your use. Hours and overtime explained. Full-time, 40 hours or more each week. Part-time, fewer than 40 hours each week. Overtime. Overtime compensation applies to all hours worked beyond 9 hours in a single day within a 24-hour period from midnight to 11:59 p.m. 40 hours in a week calculated from Monday to Sunday. Clocking in and out of shifts. We aim to simplify the clocking in and out process. Please ensure you download the WellSky Personal Care app from your phone's app store. We will assist you in setting it up before you finish orientation today, but it is important to have the app ready by the end of the session. It is the responsibility of caregivers to clock in and out for their shifts. If you encounter any difficulties with the app, please contact the office during business hours, and we will assist you with the clock-in process. On-call responsibilities. There are 3 managers in the office that rotate the after-hours on-call phone weekly. We do our best to communicate with each other, but if you are ever unsure about something or made a request, but have not heard back from us, please feel free to call the office during business hours. All employees should make every reasonable effort to report for your assigned shift on or before the scheduled time. Please take a moment to save this number in your phone as Select Home Care After Hours. 80565-76714. Proper utilization of after-hours telephone communication. Do not call after hours regarding clocking into or out of your shifts. If you had trouble clocking into or out of your shift, please call us only during business days. Before we run payroll, we will go through the schedule, and any shifts that have not been confirmed as clocked in/out will be verified. We try to do this by sending out a message asking employees to call in to confirm their hours. Office hours are Monday through Friday with the exception of the 7 major holidays. 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Please call during regular business hours for all non-emergency concerns such as clock out times and paycheck questions. Notice of shift cancellations resulting from illness or unforeseen emergencies. Please be advised that staffing during after hours can be quite challenging. We kindly ask our caregivers to keep this in mind when considering calling out and to have a backup plan in place. While calling out due to illness is sometimes unavoidable, we appreciate your prompt communication to help us find a replacement. For instance, if you are feeling unwell today and have a shift scheduled for tomorrow morning, please inform us as early as possible. Calling out sick. If you are working multiple days and you call out of one shift, do not assume we will automatically restaff all of your shifts. You need to make multiple calls for each individual shift or let us know a specific date of when you are expected to return to work. Running late to work. If you find yourself running late or suspect that a previous commitment may extend beyond its expected duration, it is essential to inform us immediately. Any circumstances that affect work assignments should be reported to the office as soon as possible to allow adequate time for us to arrange appropriate care for the client. It is crucial to communicate to the client if you are en route or if your arrival time will differ from the initially scheduled time. Once again, providing us with as much notice as possible is greatly appreciated. It is highly unprofessional for a client to reach out to us regarding your absence while we attempt to contact you to ascertain your whereabouts. Always consider factors such as weather and traffic conditions, as well as your familiarity with the client's location. No texting out. Refrain from sending text messages to call out of your shift. As you are likely aware, this practice is entirely unprofessional. It is imperative that you call and communicate directly with the manager. Please do not leave a voicemail, as it may not be received due to connectivity issues or delays with the subscriber service. We request that you continue to call until you can speak to an actual person. If the manager does not answer immediately, they could be occupied, for example, in the shower, driving, or on another call. We urge you to persist in calling until they are available. Generally, we are quite effective at answering, as the phone is always with us. Equal employment opportunity. Our goal is to foster and uphold a work environment that is free from unlawful discrimination, retaliation, or harassment. If you believe you have experienced discrimination for any reason, please promptly report your concern to a supervisor. Harassment and Discrimination Prevention and Correction. We are committed to providing a work environment that protects its workers. Harassment and discrimination will not be tolerated at any time. Workplace harassment or discrimination can take many forms. It may be, but is not limited to, unnecessary comments, notes, words of offensive nature, and taking retaliatory action against an employee for discussing or making a harassment complaint. This type of behavior is prohibited and can interfere with an individual's work performance. This creates an intimidating, hostile, and offensive work environment. Sexual harassment. As you know, there are very few interactions you will have with other employees unless you are doing a crossover shift where you have to wait for another caregiver to arrive before you can leave. You may interact with staff from other companies if you are caring for clients at locations such as a hospital, large assisted living facility, small board and care, etc. If you come across a situation where another person becomes inappropriate, makes suggestive comments, or gives unwelcome physical contact, please notify us immediately. Sexual harassment. Elderly considerations. You may encounter elderly individuals who make inappropriate or suggestive remarks, as well as unwanted sexual flirtations, advances, or propositions. Such behavior is often observed among our male clients. While we do not support this conduct, it is important to recognize that it can be an unfortunate consequence of dementia and other neurological disorders. We encourage you to confidently and firmly communicate to the resident, "No, you need to keep your hands to yourself. You may not touch or speak to me in that way." Establish these boundaries calmly and clearly. Additionally, please report these behaviors to the office staff. If we are already aware of a client's condition, you will be informed as part of the initial care plan. Documenting harassment, bullying, retaliation, and slash or discrimination. If you think you have faced harassment, bullying, retaliation, or discrimination, it is important to report it right away. Should you feel uneasy discussing the matter with your direct supervisor, you have the option to speak directly with the CEO. All complaints will be addressed fairly, accompanied by a prompt investigation that ensures due process for everyone involved. While absolute confidentiality cannot be promised, the company will make every effort to protect the privacy and confidentiality of all parties. Retaliation prohibited. Example: you've brought a concern to our attention, and in order to address it, we speak with the other employee involved. A form of retaliation would be if this employee were to come to you after being reprimanded and complain that you complained about them or tried to get them into trouble. They are strictly prohibited from going back to you with any grievances whatsoever. Accommodation of disabilities. We are dedicated to making every reasonable effort to support an employee's temporary or permanent disability, as long as they can fulfill their essential job responsibilities with appropriate accommodations. However, we regret to inform you that we cannot reassign other employees or create new positions specifically to accommodate an employee with a disability. Drug and alcohol policy. Drug and alcohol abuse adversely affects the health and safety of employees and compromises their ability to provide services to our clients. Therefore, the company is committed to maintaining a work environment free from the adverse impact of employee alcohol and drug abuse. It has been proven that the use of illegal drugs or alcohol is likely to result in the risk of injury to other employees and their clients through impairment. Impairment, or being impaired, means that an employee's normal physical or mental abilities or faculties while at work have been detrimentally affected by the use of illegal drugs or alcohol. Meals and rest periods. Personal attendants, home care aides, and caregivers are classified as exempt employees, primarily because they often cannot leave their clients unattended. Consequently, they receive regular pay during their meal breaks and should take meal and rest periods whenever possible. Examples: you can have your lunch while the client is having theirs. Or if you know a specific time when your client naps, watches TV, or there's downtime, etc., please always let your client know when you will be taking a break. Do not leave the client to go to your car or drive to go get lunch. You are required to bring your own lunch and drinks with you. Meals and rest periods. Meal breaks are as followed: 4-hour shift, 1 15-minute break, no lunch; 8-hour shift, 1 lunch, 2 breaks; 12-hour shifts, 2 meals, 2 breaks. Be sure to notify the client when you are going on a break or need to take a call. Overtime. You will be expected to perform overtime work on occasion, especially when scheduled for a 24-hour case. This is a case where under no circumstance should a client be left alone. These shifts are generally 12 hours long, but it is required that you remain on shift until you are relieved by the next caregiver coming on duty. Upon arrival, the previous caregiver will give you an overview of needs or concerns regarding the client. Reporting time pay. Employees who are requested to report for work and show up but are unnotified about cancellation shall receive reporting time pay, which is half of the scheduled workday, not less than 2 hours of pay, and no more than 4 hours. This does not apply in times of national or local emergency, that is water, power shutoffs, or utility failures. Client confidentiality. Confidentiality is the practice of protecting the client's personal and medical information. This also segues into HIPAA guidelines. HIPAA guidelines. It is imperative for employees to safeguard the privacy of the clients they serve. Neglecting this responsibility may lead to penalties ranging from $100 to $250,000 and could also result in imprisonment for a duration of 5 to 10 years. The types of information that must be protected include client's name, address, telephone number, social security number, medical history and diagnosis, photographic images, shift changes. All adjustments to shift schedules must be processed through the office. Neglecting this protocol may lead to a loss of pay due to an unrecorded shift. If you need to modify your schedule, it is essential to inform the office. In cases where a client requests a schedule change, it is primarily their responsibility to reach out to the office. However, it is also crucial for the caregiver to notify us as well. Personal attendant communication. Before taking on a shift, you will receive a briefing on the care plan. If there are any aspects you are unsure about or uncomfortable with, please communicate this to the staffing manager. It is essential to show a caring, empathetic attitude and a personal interest in each client you support. Avoid discussing your personal life or any negative experiences you may be facing. General employee responsibilities. We as a company reserve the right to assign caregivers to clients based on availability, reliability, and compatibility. We cannot guarantee employment based on an employee's location or guarantee a specific number of hours. When serving any client, the assignment is considered temporary. As situations may arise, inappropriate and unauthorized activities, it is advisable to decline any gifts from clients. Occasionally, a client may be insistent on offering you something, and while it's important to avoid offending them, you should make a concerted effort to refrain from accepting gifts whenever possible. For instance, if a client presents you with a $20 check for your birthday or any other occasion, or perhaps an item they wish to dispose of, you must always notify the office, regardless of the value of the item. This allows us to communicate with the appropriate financial authority for their approval and to document it in our records. Such measures help prevent misunderstandings, particularly if a client with dementia were to claim theft. Do not accept a key to a client's home. If the client is unable to answer the door, we will request that the responsible party arrange for a lockbox to be installed at the front entrance. This enables you or another caregiver to unlock the door and return the key for the next caregiver who follows. Avoid lifting anything heavier than 25 pounds. This limitation applies to client transfers as well as moving furniture or heavy boxes. If you notice that your client is declining and cannot assist with the transfer, it is crucial to inform the office immediately to prevent any risk of injury to both you and the client. Refrain from using ladders or step stools. If you require a step stool to reach an item, such as a bowl on a high shelf, it is likely that the client will lose their balance and fall while attempting to do the same. It is important to note that we are not estheticians or massage therapists. While we can file nails, clipping them is not permitted. We can apply lotion, but we should avoid performing deep tissue massages. Typically, you should limit your housekeeping duties to no more than 20% of your working time. While we acknowledge that tasks such as washing dishes, cleaning counters, sweeping and mopping floors, doing laundry, and maintaining the bathroom, shower, and toilet are part of your responsibilities, we do not expect you to undertake deep cleaning for years of accumulated dirt. If you encounter such a situation, please inform the office. Often, caregivers may visit homes that we, unfortunately, haven't had the opportunity to assess for safety and livability. Many of our clients live alone and have been discharged from the hospital following our initial assessment and evaluation. This highlights the importance of communication between the caregiver and the office. We encourage you to feel at ease when sharing any concerns regarding the client's living conditions. In terms of pet care, we ask that caregivers exclusively refill food and water bowls. We do not require caregivers to walk the dogs or clean up any waste. If you encounter an animal that poses a potential threat, please notify us immediately. Direct handling of medications should be limited to the Monday-Sunday pillbox container. Typically, it is the responsibility of the client or a family member to transfer medications from their original prescription bottles into the organized container. If the client lacks a responsible party for this task and you need to assist, please inform us immediately. We will then obtain a list of their current medications from the client's doctor and secure a signed waiver from the family to ensure we can carry out this task appropriately. Our concern arises from the client managing this on their own for several reasons. They might combine medications that should not be taken together. They may continue taking a medication that their doctor has stopped prescribing, often due to the cost of medications and a desire to avoid waste. They could have difficulty seeing clearly, leading to misinterpretation of instructions, which may result in either an overdose or underdose. Never take anyone to your shift, whether family, friends, or children. We prefer that you do not give your personal phone number to the clients or their family members. Sometimes we realize it's inevitable. The client's son or daughter wants to text or call you in order to check in on mom, or you're at the grocery store and you forgot to ask them what brand of something they prefer, so you call them, and they now have your number and save it to their phone. The best way to go about this is when a client calls you during a shift, it's perfectly fine to speak with them, but when you're not on shift, that is prohibited. If your client or a family member is trying to reach you off shift, you need to contact the office and inform them to reach out to that person. Interacting with a client outside your designated shifts is prohibited. This practice violates company policy and the private hire prevention agreement you signed during your onboarding process. If a client requests your presence on a day when you are not scheduled, please inform the office so that we can modify your caregiver shift calendar accordingly. Neglecting to do so may lead to discrepancies in payroll and billing. Smoking inside a client's home is strictly prohibited. It is also advisable to refrain from smoking before or during your shift. Always avoid any actions that could be perceived as a conflict of interest with the company or its clients. Elder abuse and unsafe living conditions. Abuse can manifest in various ways, including physical, financial neglect, abandonment, isolation, abduction, and treatment leading to psychological distress. Mandated reporter. As an employee of the company, you are by California law considered a mandated reporter. You must report any of the types of abuse we listed to Adult Protective Services APS. Failure to report elder abuse under California law is a misdemeanor, punishable by a jail sentence or a fine. Mandated reporter. You should file a report with APS whenever any of the following situations arise. You witness or become aware of an event that seems to indicate abuse. A victim informs you about an incident, or you have a reasonable suspicion of any form of abuse. Reporting is your individual responsibility. If you believe any type of abuse is occurring, you must bring this to the attention of the office. This way, we can walk you through the reporting process. Dress code. Please wear either scrubs or conservative casual attire. Occasionally, a client may request that you do not wear scrubs, as they may not want to be associated with the traditional image of a nurse. We typically prefer scrubs unless instructed otherwise. If a client expresses a preference for casual clothing, please inform the office so they can notify other caregivers involved in that case. Please refrain from wearing revealing necklines, tank tops, or crop tops. The casual pants need to be clean, no holes in jeans, khakis, or slacks. No short shorts or skirts. Closed-toed shoes, preferably tennis shoes for stability and grip purposes. No high heels or flip-flops. Right to observe employees. As a company, we retain the authority to monitor employees using electronic devices, including GPS and video cameras. Clients and their families also have the right to install hidden cameras within their homes. Consequently, employees should not expect any privacy while at work, except in restrooms. Additionally, phone conversations and text messages are subject to monitoring. Regarding voicemail, email, and electronic files, personal phone calls from the client's phone are not allowed. Employees should refrain from using cell phones during their shifts, unless it is an emergency or for communication with the office. The personal use of a client's computer or Wi-Fi is not permitted unless you are aiding the client with their computer or internet requirements. Right to observe employees. Our company maintains voicemails, emails, and text messaging systems to assist in conducting business. All communication, including text, email, or images, is property of the company and should be considered non-private communication. We have the right to disclose any communication to law enforcement or other third parties without consent of the sender or receiver, even if the information itself is confidential with respect to third parties outside of the company. Employees must assume that someone other than the intended recipient may read all messages. For example, if the staffing coordinator has received a message from an employee that indicates there is an issue with a client, it will be shared with the care manager. This is done to ensure that proper action is taken in resolving the problem. Right to observe employees. All communication should be limited to the conduct of the company business. Messages may not contain anything that would be considered offensive. Any use of voicemail, email, or text messages used to harass or discriminate against office staff is unlawful and strictly prohibited. Violators will be subject to discipline, up to and including termination. Client concerns. Any concerns you have regarding your client should be reported to the office immediately. Holidays. We offer time and a half pay for 7 designated holidays: New Year's Day, Easter Sunday, Memorial Day, Independence Day, Labor Day, Thanksgiving, and Christmas Day. Corrective action policy. It is your responsibility to be reliable, dependable, caring, and to follow established work policies. Violation of company policies may result in the following: verbal warning after the first offense, written warning, and placed on probation after the second offense. This affects pay increases and bonuses. Suspension from active status for 1 month after the third offense. Termination. Additional violations of company policy. We reserve the right to directly terminate any individual based on a single offense if we deem it necessary. All employees remail at will at all times. Employee separation. The company reserves the right to terminate the employment relationship at any time, with or without cause or notice. Just as an employee may resign at any time, with or without cause or notice. If you would like to be eligible to be rehired by this company, it is a requirement to give at least a 2-week notice. Final notices are considered professional, especially based on the nature of this job. Keep in mind, if a client who should not be left alone is left by themselves without care due to you not showing up, it is considered neglect. Neglect is a form of abuse punishable by law, either by fine or jail time. Final pay. Employees who resign will generally receive their final wages within 72 hours of their last day of work. You need to carefully review your final pay for accuracy and notify the company if you see an error. Payroll deductions. The following and mandatory deductions taken from every employee's gross wages: federal income tax, Social Security FICA tax, applicable state and local taxes. Closing. Please note that this is a shorter revised edition of the company's policies and procedures. You can request a full copy of the booklet to be emailed to you at any time. Thank you. You have now finished part 1 of the employee orientation. Please let the office manager know, and they will help you with the second half of the orientation.